Mind Body Life show hosted by Frederick Entenmann on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind Body Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Entenmann investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind Body Life host, Frederick Entenmann.
Welcome to the Mind Body Life show. I am your host, Frederick Entenmann, and we are on episode 12. I'm a former professional athlete. I am a multiple best-selling author, a coach, and a consultant, and I help professional athletes win the game of life. I want to welcome you to episode 12, and today I'm going to discuss something really, really interesting, more or less has to do with personal development and how to become quote-unquote elite expertise and anything by furthering your comfort zone. And also, I'm going to kind of trickle in the end of innerly work that I think not only as an athlete is extremely important, but as a human being overall, what's been lost is actually a topic most don't want to talk about because you got to be tough, is actually fostering and developing self-love. So stay tuned for that. Don't you dare go away, because first I'm going to start with being a Florida State alumni. My background is at the age of 22, 23. After my collegiate basketball career, I was offered, due to my master's thesis, at a symposium, I was recruited by some of the top schools in the nation for my expertise, which I had already developed in the late 90s on human performance. And for universities at my young ripe age, I think it was very compelling to them to get someone so young and so eager to learn more aboard. Furthermore, with my athletic background, it worked out really well, and I decided to further and advance my career at Florida State University, enter the master's program, and also be the assistant strength conditioning coach with all sports. And in this process, it was neat because I got to train the Seminoles football team under Bobby Bowden the year they won the national championship. So it gave me a lot of credibility into what I was doing, because I got to see the work I was doing directly translate on the field, and voila. But also, I'm extremely excited that it's one thing to hear others talk about certain experts, but when you share the commonality that's your same school and it's a colleague, that is pretty neat. So I'm going to introduce work by Anders Ericsson. He's Swedish, but he's Florida State's University's Conradi eminent scholar, who's actually known and become the world's foremost expert on expertise. He's written a book called Peak, and it's gotten a lot of attention as a useful resource that can help you change your life. And in my past shows, I've given you tips, I've given you insights into making 2018 your best year to date. And if your goals is to further develop a skill, I'm here to tell you maybe something that will help you do your job with more expertise, or perhaps you finally want to run that marathon. And again, as a Florida State alumni, I will share with you now from a professor of psychology who has tips that can help you succeed above and beyond in 2018, rather than having to essentially repeat the same mistakes. And it's very important. I want to debunk a major misconception, because after decades of studying how superstars are made, which is cool, Ericsson said the reason why his work has captured the public's attention in recent years is simple. A lot of people want to be the very best they can be. And the deliberate practice notion has kind of opened up the possibility that people can achieve higher levels of performance than they previously thought possible. There's nothing to do with IQ. It has more or less to do with practice, but deliberate practice, where basically you're practicing what has already been proven to work, which is great because it gives someone like me, a coaching consultant, all the more credibility that I'm not crazy. And I know that when an individual works with me, it will bolster their mind, body, and life success to new heights, new levels. This Dr. Ericsson spent more than 30 years researching the science of elite performance among athletes, chess players, musicians, novelists, doctors, and the list really goes on. It's amazing. But all that research has led him to the fascinating conclusion that everyone has what it takes to improve, and in many cases, even master a skill by pursuing particular types of practice. That's a key point. You don't reach peak performance just by putting in more hours practicing or being highly motivated to improve. Even possessing an innate talent is not a surefire predictor of success. You actually need the right formula to guide you to your goal. And quote unquote, Ericsson said, this idea that you're genetically programmed and there's a plan for you to do a certain thing, I think that's really misleading, because it means you just have to find that talent and you don't have to transform yourself to be successful. And what I like most about his book, Peak, is he spells out how to transform yourself to be successful. And those secrets boiled down are essentially, again, an approach which he calls, or coined the term, deliberate practice. It's a teacher-guided process that includes studying people who've already achieved your goal, or enlisting a coach or mentor to train you, and setting those clear goals, and getting out of your comfort zone by trying things you currently can't do. And he concedes there are two genetic differences that cannot be changed by deliberate practice. That's body size and height. It's funny because in basketball, I always grew up hearing, well, you can't teach height. And that's interesting. So people with those attributes have an innate advantage for tasks requiring those traits. Even intelligence, research shows, is not a good predictor of expertise. So high IQ may help a person quickly understand the basics of a task, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of deliberate and purposeful practice to actually achieve peak performance. Another interesting quote is, I reviewed cognitive tests and how predictive they were of various levels of performance. Music, for example, Ericsson explained, when you start playing music, there's a correlation with IQ tests. If you score well on these, then you're more rapidly able to get started. But the interesting thing is, if you look at individuals who are highly skilled in music, then you don't see any relation between their attained performance and IQ. It's a quote by Ericsson. So Ericsson research, his research has captured the attention of people all over the world. For example, the healthcare industry looks to the research for answers on how to minimize the learning curve between experienced and novice surgeons or radiologists. And in education, Ericsson's looking for scientifically valid ways to identify superior teachers. In fact, in the past, teachers were judged as better and essentially paid better if they earned more degrees or received more training. That's true in other professions too, but the latest research shows those measures actually have flaws. Very interesting And he quotes, there's a very large body of research showing the more advanced degrees you have as a K-12 teacher, for example, do not predict the ability of students to learn from you, Ericsson said. And there's also a lot of research on psychotherapists where if you look at whether their patients improved to the point that could end treatment, you find having a PhD or many years of extra training is not associated with better outcomes for patients. Literature actually shows that continuing education conferences, which medical doctors have to attain to maintain their certifications, has no observable impact on what they do in their practice. Wow. So Ericsson's approach to measuring expertise starts with finding people who consistently outperform others at a task, having them think out loud as they demonstrate the skill, and then examining their developmental history to measure what they did differently to get to the highest levels of their profession. And what that approach has yielded over decades of research is a series of practices that sometimes may seem counterintuitive, actually, but Ericsson believes that they can help most anyone master a task or goal. And again, I'll go back to something he quotes. A key to deliberate practice is that you're actually working with a teacher, mentor, coach who has been teaching others how to reach this level. Ericsson explains that. So it's actually the teacher or a consultant or coach like moi who knows the path and is the expert and can tell you and show you and coach you. Focus on this. The way you master this technique, whether it's surgery or musical instrument or achieving mind-body-life harmony and elevating your levels of life, it is to do this training. And likewise, it's how you master those challenging moments in life, especially those that set. For example, I always go back to New Year's resolutions because I've seen thousands of people essentially give up over the years. Now, about 25% of Americans who actually make resolutions don't maintain them through the first week. And that's according to a report in the Journal of Clinical Psychology. And after 6 months, the percentage of failed resolutions jumps to nearly 60%. So, yes, we all know the path to great achievement is difficult, but I love that my colleague Ericsson's research points to consistent focus, practice, and guidance from a coach or a mentor or teacher is the absolute best way to get there. So the fundamental idea is to identify those people who have been able to make it. Ericsson said that, and learn about the path they took to get to the point that you're striving to get to. I love that. I love it. Having 4 degrees myself and actually pursuing a PhD at Friedrich Wilhelms Universität Bonn, that's the same elite university in Germany, where I went to advance my expertise. It's the same school that Friedrich Nietzsche went to. So philosophy and education and deep thinking was very, very profound there. And in that time, since I was in the realms of education and psychology and philosophy, literature, came across a lot of research that still interests me to this day. It has to do with self-confidence and performance and how that relates to outcomes as well. I just kind of want to throw this into the mix since the topic is expertise in human performance and elevating your life. It is my passion to talk about this. And another expert that I have adorned my studies with is Alex Bandura, the social cognitive theorist and expert out of Stanford University that did groundbreaking work. he said self-confidence is considered one of the most influential motivators and actually regulators of behavior in people's everyday lives. And a growing body of evidence suggests that one's perception of ability or self-confidence is the central mediating construct of the entire achievement strivings. And interesting enough, Ericsson and his colleagues have taken the position that the major influence in the acquisition of expert performance is the confidence and motivation to persist, the persistence and the practice and deliberate practice for a minimum of 10 years. That's right, 10 years. And when I do the math, which also ties into the common book that brought this to light, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, it took me approximately 10 years to become a professional athlete. So I truly believe that's right on track. And also what I want to tie into this is amidst performance and practice and self-confidence, something that I've seen through and through, it seems like the more an individual advances throughout life, especially athletes where, and I mean this with sincere gentleness in when I mean ego, we have to keep in mind the ego has protected us for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We have survived. So when I say strong ego, I'm not necessarily talking about narcissism or someone who's an egomaniac. This is completely different. So when you have a strong ego, as an athlete, we're told to be tough. As men, it's almost like sharing your emotions is not cool. Being vulnerable is not cool. There's a lot of fear behind being vulnerable anyway, especially with professional athletes, because when you're vulnerable, it seems like the media uses that against you. And next thing you know, a whole lot of muckraking and oil slick writing is taking place about you, and it just gets really nasty. So I want to touch upon a subject that isn't really taught or talked about, but it's having that self-love. And it's one of the most difficult things human beings actually struggle with, in my perception. Yet it's the number one thing that will both save us individually and actually the world. If you just go back to any of the experts, peacemakers in the world, they all say this. So when we struggle with self-love, and we often are, faced with the following symptoms, and I've seen this through and through, myself included. I had a brutal, very verbally abusive coach, yellers, screamers, and you just can't imagine to be treated and insulted and deliberately on a daily basis, the verbal attacks. And anyway, what happens when you struggle with self-love and that is broken down and you begin to believe, actually you begin to foster self-doubt. Now, when we're not loving ourselves, we begin to doubt our potential. And that's our worth and what we're capable of. And why exactly? Because when there is doubt, there is no love to nourish our being or our endeavors, our actions, and the way we show up in the world. Doubt is based on fear. And that's actually what comes up next is we actually will begin to fear the fear of others' judgment. When we fear other people's opinions, we take away our capacity to love ourselves. And the judgment, as just in general in the modern day world, is everywhere on social media. I think it's become an epidemic. So in the midst of doing this, we begin to define our ability to love ourselves based on other people's approval and their thoughts. So that is dangerous, because that's, moving through this as I think and talk about it, and it fosters a negative voice in your head. And take it from me, that's how I began my journey. That I was the ultimate cynic that beat myself up, and it developed this negative voice in my head through not having enough self-love. And that negative voice inside your head, when this negative voice is running circles in your mind, is how I guess I'll refer to it. You cannot possibly have the time to love on yourself. Negativity not only zaps your self-love, it just drains your energy and life force, and it will affect all areas of your life. And then before you know it, you're judging other people. And when we're judging others, we're often really judging ourselves. The world's a mirror. It might be a little metaphysical, but it's absolutely true. Einstein and other world-class, world-renowned physicists and scientists have proven this, and it's being projected on another person. Judging someone's different than observing someone's truth or differences of expression, for example. And the way you can tell if it is a judgment is by asking yourself if this thought stirs you up emotionally, or do you feel triggered by it? If the answer is yes, then you know that it's a judgment and probably stemming from a place of love, self-esteem. I think the absolute worst thing is when you lose that self-love or foster your self-love. You develop this absolute fear of speaking your truth. And to me, if that's inflicted upon someone, I believe there should be a societal, there should be a law against that. It's just one of the most horrible things. You as a human lose your voice. It's such a big part of your personality and identity, right? And the fear of speaking up for your needs or your truth or your worth and actually your honor is often backed by, again, this lack of self-love. When we can truly love and appreciate ourselves, we know our worth and feel confident and graceful in expressing that. And when we doubt our worth, we're not loving ourselves appropriately. When we let others judge us and trample over our borders, that's not practicing self-love either. And our mind can make many, many excuses as to why you do not have the right to speak your truth either, because you're in a state of disillusionment. So I urge you to really reflect on what self-love means to you and how do you practice it. I've actually come up with insights on, for example, loving and respecting yourself. And, I think all in all, my self-love mantra is if you can't love and respect yourself, then no one else will be able to make that happen. So I think with a lot of people, especially, it is officially still the beginning of the new year. And for New Year's resolutions, instead of promising yourself to get in shape, make a promise to take care of your body and health. Make a promise to yourself to take the steps, the baby steps, to just feel better. It's much easier to love yourself when you're healthy. I get a massage every month, for example. Forgive yourself for your mistakes in the past. It's gone. Let go, and just live now. Sometimes because we're holding on to the past and what we did then, we start hating ourselves as well, and we're just keeping that memory, which research has also shown the past is also delusion, because it's actually a relived situation, and 9 out of 10 times it's not actually the truth, what actually happened. It's our representation of that truth. So just accept your mistakes, learn from that, and move on. I also love, I think a good mantra is everything happens for a reason. And what I've also learned about self-love is it starts from you and only you. No one else can love you more than yourself, actually. Think about that. The minute you learn that you're the most important person in your life is the minute you'll see your life blossom into something amazing. That's what I love about what I do. I get to see people just blossom when they really start diving in and working on themselves. It is my obsession. So be able to actually look into the mirror and be proud of the person you've become. Go out and do something you love, like dancing or something, and buy yourself new gym clothes, or book yourself a getaway trip, a vacation you've always wanted to take. Do that for yourself. There should never ever be guilt instilled in investing in yourself and your interests. Be surrounded by positive and like-minded people at all time. It'll change your universe around you and make you so happy. Don't ever settle for anything less than what is ideal for you. And always, always remember that everything happens for an essential reason. Don't get so attached, and don't forget to put yourself first if you haven't today, okay? Have a positive mindset. Change the way you perceive the negative situations. Eradicate the negative vampire feeding influencers in your life. We've all had them. Hopefully you don't have them. I eradicated all of them out of my life, and it's a wonderful thing. I've always had a positive mindset and try to be optimistic with every single situation and make the best out of every situation, whether it be bad or good. And I can tell you, when you have a positive and optimistic mindset, you'll always be in a happy, great mood. And for your body, your physiology, cellular, it's biological, it's very essential. I used to be stressed out and anxious all the time and overthinking a lot of things. So I started doing just the mindful awareness, and it helped a lot. Also, starting every day with a small goal to achieve helps with your mindset as well. And that little bit keeps me thriving and motivated. And I feel really accomplished when I do reach a mini goal. I'd like to end all this. I know it's been a lot. I've thrown research in there. But I want to remind you, be grateful. Be extremely grateful and acknowledge the small achievements and do something completely different. I think today's lifestyle, people are so stressed and stuck in overwhelm because of the demands. The demands on the regular individual's life just have become very extreme. So take some time each week to slow down and reflect. There's power in taking a step back. It's moving things from complex to simple again. That's important. Sure, it isn't going to be all good all the time, but even in the worst of weeks, there will be still things to be grateful for. Identify all the things that warrant being grateful for. It will actually help lower cortisol levels, for example, and then that in turn helps lower stress levels. So acknowledge all the small achievements every single day. Get in the habit. It's hard to do this when our to-do lists are always so full. So at first you almost have to schedule it in. And it's so easy to be working on one task and already thinking about what else has to be done. So slow down a fraction, complete one task, acknowledge its completion, and then move on to the next or repeat. It is scientifically, psychologically, human performancingly impossible to multitask. Okay, so you have to slow down first. And the slowing down, acknowledging each task completion, as just view them as small victories. They're going to make your day-to-day tasks more rewarding, and it's going to result in a feeling of achievement instead of a feeling of exhaustion. And also, and lastly, to get to the end here, also do something completely different every now and then. Take a different route around town. Go to the other side of the town and discover a restaurant or park or a coffee shop. I try to do something completely out of left field weekly, and feels every time like I'm alive. And time slows. It's a newer experience. So something completely non-gym, non-fitness related, purely for the experience. Going to see a foreign movie, trying food that you've never ever tasted before. Spending time exploring, again, a part of the city you've never visited before. So regularly experiencing these different things is a simple way to get out of your routine quickly. And this is a nice little secret that seems to help reset me as well as my world-class clients. I want to thank you for being on this episode. I really hope you enjoyed that. Listen to this a couple times. Please share this with any athlete or professional athletes that you know. This is a power-packed episode that can help you as you start implementing a lot of these recommendations. And if you're interested, I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, I am on LinkedIn, I am on Twitter, all under Frederick Entenmann. I want to thank you again for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Entenmann host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio.